Greetings to you this morning. I am Omega Burkhart, the ministerial intern at the Unitarian Universalist Church in Rockford, Illinois. We are streaming live to you this morning on November 15th at 10 a.m. Central. Of course, you may be joining us at a different time and certainly in a different space, and we are thrilled that you found us either way. Welcome to all of you and all that you bring with you this morning. You may be a member or a friend of this congregation, and you come to us in the spirit today of rekindling those community ties. Welcome. You may be new to our congregation, and you come to us in a spirit of searching and wonder. We bid you welcome. You are welcomed if you are coming to us with heaviness on your heart. We welcome you if you are sad or angry or frustrated or anxious. We especially bid you welcome. If you join us today because you are in need of worship, or perhaps you are a member of a different Unitarian Universalist congregation, a different denomination, or no congregation at all, welcome. Whoever you are and whatever brings you here, welcome. We are coming to you, some of us, live from the sanctuary of the church. I am joining you from the sanctuary of my office space at home. Because of the current health crisis, I decided it would be best to stay here in Milwaukee this morning. I am with you in spirit. With me today is Reverend Marlene Walker, our distinguished pulpit guest. Tim Anderson, our colleague in worship and the music director, is at the church and will be playing for us this morning to buoy and renew our spirits. Autumn Powell, our office manager, of course, is running the technology and making all of this happen for us in the sanctuary. And Lindsay Dunn, the Director of Religious Education, is also joining with us this morning and will be reading The Invisible String. Our worship associate, Amy Brandon, has pre-recorded her testimony, and you will hear that later in the service. Of course, Chris Ainsworth, our membership coordinator, is joining you on Facebook Live. If that's how you're watching it this morning, please chime in and say hi to Chris. As you know, Reverend Matthew Johnson, the senior minister here at this church, is on sabbatical, and he will return late in December. Please feel free to comment if you're watching this live on our Facebook feed, but remember it is a public forum, so engage in a friendly and appropriate manner. At this moment, I will pause and ring the bell here from my home, and we will join together in worship this morning. Please join us in the singing of our first hymn today. It is the hymn of the month. We'll be singing, I Brought My Spirit to the Sea. It's hymn number 4.
I brought my spirit to the sea. I stood upon the shore. I gazed upon infinity. I heard the waters roar. And then there came a sense of peace. Some whisper calmed my soul. Some ancient ministry of stars had made my spirit whole. I brought my spirit to the trees that loomed against the sky. I touched each wandering, careless breeze to know if God was nigh. And then I felt an that fiercely burned my tears. Upright I rose from bended knee to meet the asking years.
The flaming chalice is a symbol of our faith. It's a beacon for truth, a fire for justice, and a warmth for our souls. As Lindsay lights the chalice in the sanctuary this morning, and you light your home chalices as I have done, speak together the words of our covenant. The words will be on the screen.
May love shine forth through us today. May light of reason guide our way. May beauty, truth, and joy become a flame that burns in everyone.
As our current health crisis rages in our world, and especially in our area of the country, we find ourselves again having to double down in our efforts to keep ourselves and our loved ones and really everyone safe. My spirit grows weary with this task, dear ones, and perhaps yours too. Many of us were buoyed last week with the news about our election, our spirits lifted by the prospect of some renewed dignity in our national leadership. Now, there is hard work ahead of us, no doubt, but this did feel a little bit like a glimmer of hope, maybe a candle against what is a growing darkness. These cycles, the ebbs and the flows of news, both boosting and testing our spirits, they are natural patterns. That doesn't make them feel good always, but they are natural patterns. They are the sun and the stars in their daily dance. They are the tides of the oceans and the Great Lakes. They are the patterns of the labyrinth moving first way and then doubling back on itself in a tightly woven and interconnected path. It's at these moments when those invisible strings that connect us to others, connect us to each other, become most important. These invisible strings that attach our hearts to other hearts, our souls to other souls, and connect us to the greater experience of the sacred and the holy. When we are most lost, when we are most forlorn, when we are most lonely, those invisible strings are what will help us find our way back, our way out of the maze, our way back to each other, and our way back to our true selves. This morning, I invite you to consider how your spirituality is connected and intertwined with the greater whole of the experience of the sacred, the ways that this connection and experience are life-giving to you.
Ven, Espíritu de amor, ven sobre mí. Ven, Espíritu de amor, ven sobre mí. Tómame, cámbiame, lléname, úsame, ven, Espíritu de amor.
Good morning. I'm Lindsay, and I'm the Director of Religious Education here at the Unitarian Universalist Church, and I'm glad to be with you this morning. Our story this morning is The Invisible String by Patrice Karst. Liza and Jeremy, the twins, were asleep one calm and quiet night. Suddenly, it began to rain very hard. Thunder rumbled until it got so loud that it woke them up. "Mommy, Mommy," they cried out as they ran to her. "Don't worry, you two. It's just the storm making all that noise. Go back to bed." "We want to stay close to you," said Jeremy. "We're scared." Mom said, "You know we're always together, no matter what." "But how can we be together when you're out here and we're in bed?" said Liza. Mom held something right in front of them and said, "This is how." Rubbing their sleepy eyes, the twins came closer to see what Mom was holding. "I was about your age when my mommy first told me about the invisible string." "I don't see a string," said Jeremy. "You don't need to see the invisible string. People who love each other are always connected by a very special string made of love." "But if you can't see it, how do you know it's there?" asked Liza. "Even though you can't see it with your eyes, you can feel it with your heart and know that you are always connected to everyone you love. When you're at school and you miss me, your love travels all the way along the string until I feel it tug on my heart. And when you tug it right back, we feel it in our hearts," said Jeremy. "Does Jasper the cat have an invisible string?" Liza asked. "She sure does," said Mom. "And best friends like me and Lucy?" asked Liza. "Best friends too." "How far can the string reach?" "Anywhere and everywhere," Mom said. "Would it reach me even if I were a submarine captain deep in the ocean?" asked Jeremy. "Yes," Mom said, "even there." "Or a mountain climber?" "Even there." "A ballerina in France?" "Even there." "A jungle explorer?" "Even there." "How about an astronaut out in space?" "Yes, even there." Then Jeremy quietly asked, "Can my string reach all the way to Uncle Brian in heaven?" "Yes, even there." "Does the string go away when you're mad at us?" "Never," said Mom. "Love is stronger than anger, and as long as love is in your heart, the string will always be there. Even when you get older and you can't agree about things like what movie to see or who gets to ride in the front seat or what time to go to bed." "Oh, that's right, you two should be in bed." And with that, they all laughed as Mom chased the twins back to their beds. Within a few minutes, they were asleep, even though the storm was still making the same loud noises outside. As they slept, they started dreaming of all the invisible strings they have, and all the strings their friends have, and their friends have, and their friends have, until everyone in the world was connected by invisible strings. And from deep inside, they now could clearly see no one is ever alone.
We continue to worship online, and we will for the foreseeable future. We do have some upcoming events, though, so please check them out in our newsletter and on social media. In the meantime, please check in with each other, especially in this time of renewed social distancing. If you're thinking of someone who you would normally see, please reach out. A call or a text or perhaps a note means a lot right now. I would invite you to a couple of events that are coming up, virtually, of course. If you're interested in learning more about prison ministry and issues related to the prison industrial complex, you're invited to attend a meeting today at 12:30 after the service. The Zoom information is in the Kairos newsletter. This will be the first meeting of our newly formed prison ministry group here in Rockford. And we'll have more information and trainings as the fall and winter progress. So please join us if you are interested in that. We will now take up an offering to support the work of justice and mercy in our world. 80% of what is collected today will go to the Liam Foundation, a not-for-profit foundation whose mission it is to serve children with special needs and to help them attend camps and other events with typical kids. Thank you for your generosity. You can give online by texting the number on the screen or by going to www.uurockford.org/donate, and be sure to select Share the Plate there. I also ask that if you're in the habit of making gifts towards the operating budget, the annual pledge, or Sunday in person, that you make that gift online or send a check to the church. Help us keep our staff and our operations funded during this time. The offering will now be given and received.
Hi, I'm your worship associate today. My name is Amy, for those of you that do not know me. Today's topic is one that I admit I struggle with. S words. Spirit, spirituality, and sacred. What do they mean? My knee-jerk response is, I don't know. Do you? Then I thought, well, isn't that the whole purpose of this particular sermon? And broadly, isn't this the truth of the fourth principle? A free and responsible search for truth and meaning. So I thought about the search for meaning. The meaning of these words is similar, according to the Merriam-Webster's dictionary. Spirit is a supernatural being or essence. Spirituality is a sensitivity or attachment to values or religious values. And sacred is entitled to reverence and respect. The three S's, then, are attached, potentially, to the idea of a higher power. Of course, I knew this before looking up the definitions, and I found myself asking, do they have to be, though? Do they have to be connected to a higher power? Of course, I did, though, as I tend to question anything related to the concept of a higher power. And that way, I'm like the ultimate Jeopardy game. All of my answers are questions. That questioning, though, is what allows me to come to a better understanding of myself and my faith. And so I ask myself, can you find the spirit, spirituality, and the sacred separate from the concept of a higher power? I believe the answer is yes. Being a Unitarian Universalist, for me and many others, are about the acknowledgement that our understanding of a higher power is limited. It can feel unknowable. However, these three S's do not have to be unknowable. They do not have to feel removed from us. I believe the concepts of the three also speak to the first Unitarian principle, the inherent worth and dignity of every person. I believe that these words merely form a guiding principle for how we should interact with each other in the world. So, spirit then becomes the essence of a person, and that is where the worth and dignity comes from. Spirituality is the respect for that essence that exists in all people. And finally, sacred is the duty to protect and value that essence in everyone. If we lean into this and these S words, and do so from a place of reverence for the essence and wholeness of a person, do so from a place of reverence and respect, then we will do so from a place of attachment to our faith's 7 principles. If you and I and all people in the world let these 3 S's, these 3 S words into our lives in that way, the world would be a better place. Thank you.
Mysterious presence, source of all, the world without, the soul within, thou fount of life, oh, hear our call, and pour thy living waters in. Thou breathest in the rushing wind, thy spirit stirs in leaf and flower, nor wilt thou from the willing mind withhold thy light and love and power. Thy hand unseen to accents clear awoke the psalmist's trembling lyre, and touched the lips of holy seer with flame from thine own altar fire. That touch divine again impart, still give the prophet's burning word, and vocal in each waiting heart, let living psalms of praise be heard.
I invite you into a spirit of contemplation as I present to you these 2 readings. These selections were chosen by Reverend Marlene Walker. The first one is entitled Experience Connection by Reverend Peter Morales. What does spirituality feel like to you? Spirituality is impossible to define and difficult to describe. For me, it feels like connection to myself, to others around me, to the earth and all of creation. Connection to myself feels like deep peace, awareness, calm, authenticity. Connection to others feels like compassion, community, acceptance, and enduring love. Spirituality is not an idea, it is an experience. When I feel connection, dividing lines disappear. Inner conflict gives way to integrity. The line that separates my individuality from others fades. We become one. I find connections with my deepest self in times of solitary practice and reflection. I find connection with others in community, often in worship. All the great spiritual traditions teach this. Today, the connection with creation, with the earth and the cosmos may be the most difficult. We live in artificial, controlled environments that separate us from the natural world. More than humans in any other time, we live separated from the natural world, the world from which we emerged and sustains our lives. We so very much need to experience our world. We need to let go of controlling our world and allow ourselves to become one with it. We find ourselves when we lose ourselves. May we connect, really connect. When we do, it changes everything. The second reading that I have for you is entitled, What is Spirituality and How Can We Recognize It? It is a selection by Ron Smith. When asked to define spirituality, St. Augustine wrote, "What is grace? I know until you ask me." Spirituality is more easily felt than expressed, as in welcoming a newborn baby or saying our last goodbye to a loved one, hiking up a canyon in the fall colors, or listening to a Rachmaninoff concerto. To that end, I define spirituality as the awareness of meaningful connection with the sacred whole. It is a commingling of the self with something greater. That something is sacred because it speaks to our most cherished ideals. Communion with it is meaningful because it enlightens and empowers us.
When I was a boy each week, on Sundays we would go to church and pay attention to the priest, and he would read the holy word and consecrate the holy bread, and everyone would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. When I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time Moses split the sea in two, and Jesus made the water wine. And I remember feeling sad, miracles don't happen still. Now I can't keep track, 'cause everything's a miracle. Everything's holy now. Wine from water is not so small. An even better magic trick is that anything is here at all. So the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, but finding where there isn't one. when holy water was rare at best. It barely wet my fingertips, but now I have to hold my breath like I'm swimming in a sea of it. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down, but I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. Everything, everything, everything is holy now. Read a questioning child's face and say it's not a testament. That'd be very hard to say. See another new morning come and say it's not a sacrament. I tell you that it can't be done. This morning outside I stood and saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush and singing like a scripture verse. It made me want to bow my head. I remember when church let out, how things have changed since then. Everything is holy now. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down, but I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. Everything is holy, 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 everything is holy now.
Good morning. It is so wonderful to be with you all again in worship, albeit in this virtual way. It's really good to be back. So spirit, spirituality, sacred, all words that many of us use on a regular basis to communicate something that is very hard to put words to. They are not easy words, so they may seem quite simple, and we tend to use them all the time. What they mean to one person may mean something totally different to another. This is why my college professor of religious studies would mark us down if we used them in a paper, saying, "What does this mean? Tell me what you mean. Describe it. Be specific." Our Touchstones theme this month is spirituality, so it's a good time to think about what these words mean to us and to Unitarian Universalism. Our readings and our story this morning give us an idea. In our first reading, Reverend Peter Morales tells us, it feels like connection to myself, to others around me, to the earth and all of creation. Connection to myself feels like deep peace, awareness, calm, authenticity. Connection to others feels like compassion, community, acceptance, and enduring love. And in the second, Ron Smith says, I define spirituality as the awareness of a meaningful connection with the sacred whole. It is a commingling of the self with something greater. That something is sacred because it speaks to our most cherished ideals. Communion with what is meaningful because it enlightens and empowers us. And it reminds us that our humanist forebears, like the father of religious humanism, John Dietrich, said, there is an energy which springs from the heart of humanity. What it is, we do not know. But he said this energy is as real as the air we breathe, and it produces real results. The word spirit originates from the Greek word for breath. The act of breathing, like spirituality, is normally unconscious but life-giving. The air we breathe is shared by all living things, just as spirituality arises from our interconnectedness with the world. And I love our story this morning, the invisible string. I see that string, that connection of love, as what spirituality or the Spirit is. I like to think of the spirit of spirituality as that invisible string, holding us all in connection. One of my most favorite of our hymns is Spirit of Life, number 123 in our great hymnal. I know I'm not alone in this. It is most likely our number one used hymn, and I think it is profoundly effective. It is a profoundly effective way to describe what Unitarian Universalist spirituality is. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. I remember the first time I heard those words by Carolyn McDade sung. It was a few years before the Gray Hymnal was published, and I was at a board meeting of the Southeast UU Summer Institute in Blacksburg, Virginia. One of the board members was leading us in a closing worship service and sang those words as the benediction. I remember being deeply moved by them and struck by how beautifully and close they speak of what Unitarian Universalism is and what spirituality is. A couple of years later, the new hymnal, the one we currently use, came out, and I was very pleased to see Spirit of Life included. As pleased as I was, I initially had no idea whatsoever that Spirit of Life would become the most frequently sung hymn within Unitarian Universalism, that it would come to be used in so many ways and mean so much to so many people. What is it about this short little song that has touched so many people's hearts, minds, and spirits? Why does it resonate so well, and why does it represent the heart and spirit of Unitarian Universalism? Let's take a look at it line by line, and I will share with you what I hear in the words. Spirit of life, come unto me. Not somewhere else, but unto me, me. The Spirit is not something outside of us, but within us and around us. It is not something external. In the words of my colleague, Suzelle Lynch, because to live in touch with the Spirit that moves in and through us and weaves us all together, we must first know it in ourselves. As Mary Oliver says in her beautiful poem, the Spirit likes to dress up like this, 10 fingers, 10 toes, shoulders, and all the rest. Airy and shapeless thing, it needs the metaphor of the body. It needs the body's world, instinct, and tangibility. This is a very humanist understanding of the Spirit. It is not something apart from us, rather it needs us to give it body, life, and shape. And the Hebrew Bible tells us this as well. In the story of Ezekiel in the valley of the dry bones, it is the breath, the Spirit that is breathed into those bones to give them life. Not just breathe anywhere, but into bones, human bones, our bones. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. The Spirit doesn't just talk to us, but it sings in our hearts, eliciting compassion. Our UU faith means little in the world and in our own lives if it is not grounded in compassion and care for all, for those we know, for those we do not know, for the world and all humanity. In the words of the amazing writer, feminist, and poet Adrienne Rich, my heart is moved by all I cannot save. So much has been destroyed. I have to cast my lot with those who age after age, perversely, with no extraordinary power, reconstitute the world. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Not only does the Spirit come unto us and move in our hearts, but it also blows in the wind and rises in the sea. One of the Hebrew words for spirit is ruach, and it literally means breath. There is a wonderful Christian hymn, not in our hymnal, whose first lines are, breathe on me, breath of God, fill me with life anew. And at the beginning of the story of creation in the Hebrew scriptures, God literally breathed on waters to bring forth life. There are many other stories of ruach, of spirit, of breath in the sacred stories of many traditions. All of creation is sacred, and part of our faith as Unitarian Universalists is our commitment to care for the earth and the seas and the mountains and the deserts and the valleys and the prairies, all of it. And we take that very seriously. Move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. I think of this line as being the heart of it all. The song, the hymn, what it means to be a Unitarian Universalist. The Spirit of life moves in our hands that we can create justice. We are the hands of the Spirit of life. It is up to us to be steadfast in creating and shaping justice. And how much more important is this line to us today? Justice needs to be for all equally. For women to be able to have control over our bodies, for gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender people, for people of all faiths, for incarcerated people, mostly Black men filling our jails, and for people of all races. We live in a country today where much of the justice we fought for and even taken for granted is no longer safe. Interestingly, so much of the voice calling for this reversal of justice is based on religion, on the very same Bible that so clearly states that what gives us life is breath, that life begins not at conception, but when the Spirit breathes. I too often wonder if the radically conservative voices even read their own scriptures. Over and over again in the Hebrew and Christian scriptures, in the Quran, the message calls us to create justice, more justice, not less. That it is our hands that are needed to reclaim and shape justice for all. Yes, it is true, I believe, that as Theodore Parker said, the moral arc of the universe bends toward justice. He also tells us that we have to do the bending. Roots hold me close. Wings set me free. Our faith as Unitarian Universalists has deep, deep roots, and they do hold us close. Our tap roots are freedom, reason, and tolerance, but also faith and spirit, of a spirit set free from fear. At the same time that our roots hold us close, we are called to have wings as well, to be ready to change, even as we are held firm by our roots, and find new expression for our faith that fit the times we live in, that sets us free to bring our roots and the Spirit of life to more people. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. And we end with the lines, come to me, come to me. Again, calling us to be the body of the Spirit of life. These are some of the reasons I think that Spirit of life has come to mean so much. In some ways, not official ways, to be our UU doxology. In these short lines, Spirit of life touches so much that is central to our UU faith. Compassion, justice, community, freedom, reverence for nature, the experience of passion and what lies deep within our hearts and souls, and the mystery of life, of spirituality. It finds the common ground held by humanists and theists, pagans and Christians, Buddhists and Jews, gay and straight among us. It sings always in our hearts. May it always be so.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
For our benediction this morning, I would like to offer you this reading. It is entitled A Power at Work in the Universe, and it was written by Tom Shade. My friends, there is a power at work in the universe. It works through human hands, but it was not made by human hands. It is a creative, sustaining, and transforming power, and we can trust that power with our lives. It will sustain us whenever we take a stand on the side of love, whenever we take a stand for peace and justice, whenever we take a risk. Trust in that power. We are together held by that power. At this point, Lindsay will extinguish our chalice in the sanctuary. Please join in singing our closing benediction hymn.
Go your way in peace, wander as you may. Blessed is the path you take, may love guide you